Freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype as well. Join us at Skype username LRN.FM. In the studio with you here tonight in beautiful and snowy Keene, New Hampshire.
Snowy.
It's Ian here.
And Johnny Ray.
Hey, Johnny Ray. We never did get last week to part 2, I don't think, of the savings chapter in the book Economics in One Lesson. We're not reading the book on the air, just for listeners who might be tuning in for the first time here tonight. We've been doing, basically for the last year, this sort of chapter-by-chapter book club or book review of, what is it, a very important work in the realm of libertarian texts, if you will, and that is Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson.
American libertarian texts.
Yep, and this was your idea. This was, Johnny Ray, this was a book written back in the 1940s originally. It since was updated at least once, maybe more than once. And so depending on the version that you have, there may be some slightly different information in it. You can actually download a PDF copy of the book for free from the internet. So just look for Economics in One Lesson, Henry Hazlitt. And we are getting down towards the end of this book, finally, after a year's worth of plodding through it. It's actually a pretty easy read, but I'm a terrible, as far as like setting time aside kind of person for reading.
Uh-huh.
I wish I did it more, but obviously I don't wish that hard because otherwise I would. So I'm more of a bathroom reader. And so glad that we have finally gotten through it. It's been, we still have like maybe a couple more chapters to go here, but the one we're on right now is called The Assault on Saving, and it's a 4-part chapter. Most of the chapters in this book very, very short, maybe 2, 3, 4 pages.
Uh-huh.
This one's longer than the typical chapter, so we divvied it up. We figured, savings is an important topic, so we should talk about it on 4 different occasions and take each chapter or each section of the chapter as it comes. So we're on section 2. We didn't do this last week, I don't think, did we?
No, we just talked about it amongst ourselves, but
right.
never talked about it on the air.
So we've got to do that. And also, I don't know if I should read this email that I got about savings before we continue, because I got an email from Stefan Kinsella.
Sure, I think you definitely should.
Okay. This guy, he's an attorney who is, I think his area of expertise is like patent law, if I recall correctly.
That's how I became aware of him. And I think of Kinsella as a committed libertarian, unlike maybe your Gary Johnsons, because of that, because Kinsella took a stand on intellectual property that I agreed with.
Was he in favor of it or against it? I don't remember.
Well, he's against a legal protection for intellectual property.
Good. Yeah, that's right. So he was listening, I guess, to our first discussion, so part 1 of 4 of this chapter on savings, and he has a lot to say. I'm going to share that email here, and we'll get your response, Johnny. He says, hey, hope all is well. Caught a bit of your recent discussion about Hazlitt and savings, etc. I think some of the discussion was a bit confused. First, there was some comment that putting money in a bank is saving, because it's loaned out to others and thus earns interest. The problem is you have to have fractional reserve banking to do this, and this is disputed among Austrians. Arguably, it would be impossible to have this practice without governments insuring deposits with FDIC, etc., because there would always be runs and instability, and thus too much risk. So talking about the idea of fractional reserve banking here. Now, can you define what that is, generally for the audience?
Sure. A bank, for example, takes money in deposits and also loans money. A bank could simply loan out what it is actually in custody of. Its reserves. But They don't necessarily have to. They can loan out more than they actually hold in their reserves. So if they're
getting into cryptocurrency,
what that is, that was coming from our network. Continue.
So if they're loaning out more than they have, then they're only keeping a fraction in reserves of what they're responsible for. But I don't see why you couldn't have a bank that simply loans out what it's actually got in reserves.
Yeah, it seems like that's what Kinsella is claiming you can't do. you can't loan out your depositors' money without being fractional reserve. Now, certainly, fractional reserve makes it a lot easier because the banks then have the ability to create money from thin air, basically. And so the fractional reserve system, I think, allows them like 9 times or something like that. If you get $10 on deposit, they can loan out $90. Mm-hmm. So they're basically creating money from thin air, and that's sort of one of the powers that has been bestowed upon these member banks of the Federal Reserve System. That's one of the perks of being a bank.
It seems to me that in a free market utopia, if you will, you could have a market place with a whole spectrum of savings options for you, and fractional reserve, it would be legal.
You could opt into it.
Sure, you could opt into it, and it's riskier, but risk
you
versus
get a higher
return.
interest or something like that. That's an idea. And I was just thinking, based on the banking products that we have today, which are obviously a very highly regulated marketplace by the government, the options that you have are limited. Mm-hmm. If you've ever noticed when you go into banks, there's a lot of similarities between the accounts, like the minimums that they have, the savings account, you can only make so many deposits in. A lot of stuff is regulated by the government. But looking at just the options that we have, bankers do have long-term deposit options. I mean, it's called a CD. A certificate of a deposit, I believe is what that stands for, where instead of just having a checking account or a savings account where you put money in and then you can come in anytime you want and withdraw that money, the CD is intended for somebody who's a long-term saver, somebody who says, I don't want to touch this money. I want to put X amount of dollars in this CD. You're going to give me a higher return. Now, of course, nobody's going to get excited about any of the interest rates on banking products these days, but maybe at some point they could be good if the government wouldn't meddle in that business. But anyway, the idea being the CD gets a higher rate of return, and the reason why you get the higher rate is because you're not supposed to touch it. It's supposed to be locked down to you, which means that the bank can feel better, I guess. They know more, like they're more likely to be able to not have to give it back to you, right? Because you've got it in a CD, and so they're probably more comfortable loaning that money out. So that would be one of those kind of products that you're talking about that already exists in the banking market today to allow them, if it wasn't fractional reserve, if they did actually have to loan their deposits out, well, that would allow people to lock down their money for a greater rate of return. We have that.
I think what we have now in the world that we live in, the real world, is that you can't operate a bank if you're not engaged in fractional reserve banking because you can't compete, and all the other banks have a implied guarantee that they'll be bailed out.
Yep.
So if you're not playing fast and loose, then you're not gonna make it, and that's how it is today. But I feel like in a world that is not ringed around with laws, and the industry will have a need to regulate itself because people aren't going to throw their money away.
Sure, and certainly people don't trust banks, which is one of the reasons why some people want the government around. They feel like the government is protecting them from bankers, when of course the reality is the government and the banks work together, and they're two arms of this corporate mega giant thing that controls our lives. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. There's a lot more from Stephen Kinsella about savings. That was just his first paragraph, so we'll continue with that here in a moment. But Matt's on the line in Louisiana. Matt, you're on Free Talk Live. Oh, actually, go ahead, sir.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, what's on your mind?
I'm kind of on your side about this whole marijuana legalization thing, and I'm not liking what Jeff Sessions is doing. I'm kind of thinking to myself, is Jeff Sessions literally trying to sabotage Trump administration? But that's neither here nor there.
It's an interesting question.
His actions, shall we say, haven't been helpful.
Matt, hold that thought. We're going to come right back to you here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Sure.
I don't know if our board operator is having some difficulty there, but there we go. There's our commercials. Thank you.
We see many ads
we'll be right back.
But the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Heart disease is on the rise. Clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol levels may not be fully detected by you, but the symptoms are there. Loss of energy, blood sugar spikes and drops, poor circulation, and irregular heartbeat are just a few of these that can alert you that something is wrong. Hear how Heart and Body Extract is making a difference in thousands of people's lives across America.
My blood pressure has normalized. My diabetes has totally improved.
Everyone is telling me now how much healthier I look, and I'm telling everyone how much healthier I feel. I recommend Heart and Body Extract to everyone.
Anybody over 40 in the North American continent should be using this product as a preventative to keep their cardiovascular system healthy.
Order your 2-month supply today by calling 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. Or order online, hbextract.com. Heart and Body Extract, 866-295-5305 or hbextract.com. What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in 1 application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling
So
better
there's
than
some
you have in
kind of
years,
issue
and you
going
noticed a
on,
difference in your
unfortunately, with the
sleeping
automation
patterns,
system.
blood
I'm just going to turn that down, that audio coming from the network there, and we're going to presume that we're actually back on the air here on Free Talk Live because something's screwy. Hey, there's some tunes. Yeah, here we are. Sunday night. Better late than never, and I appreciate all the hard work at Genesis Communications Network. It sucks being in radio or being anywhere when the computers break, when things, don't go right, and you're hoping that everything was going to go just fine as it normally does, and it doesn't. And it's hard to get things back on track while you're trying to mix a show together and screen phone calls and do all the things that our board operators there in Minnesota at the Genesis Communications Network are doing and do a fine job of, every single night, 7 nights a week. But man, it's a challenge, having done plenty of board operating myself in my day.
It reminds me a little bit of my days in high school when I was on the wrestling team.
Yeah.
I rarely started, but sometimes I would run the clock. And there were a few times where I was paying too close attention to what was happening on the mat, and I wasn't paying attention to the clock.
Yep.
And so there were some angry parents because I wouldn't stop it on time.
So if you want to join us here, you can bring up anything that you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. The phones are still working. It's just the automation system behind the scenes is a little screwy right now back at the network. So we can still take your calls, and you can talk about whatever's on your mind. We got more from Stefan Kinsella here, an attorney, intellectual property rights attorney, who is, I guess he's got some comments, some detailed, insightful comments about savings. We'll get back into that. But Matt was on the line. We're going to continue with his calls and thoughts. Also, I want to let you know about the Blink Home Security System. You can go to blinkprotect.com/FTL to get yours. You'll get 3 Blink cams for what some of the other guys will charge you for 1 security camera. The Blink Home Security System, it's probably the easiest one you're ever going to install because there's, basically near to zero setup and installation time. There's no wires that you have to run, and that's usually the worst part about installing these other camera systems. These cameras from Blink are wireless. You pop the batteries in, you get them set up via a Wi-Fi enabled app like on your smartphone or tablet, and within moments of opening the box, you've got a home security system. Or for a small office, go and try yours out over at blinkprotect.com/FTL. That's blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Ian and Johnny Ray in the studio. We go back to Matt. He's in Louisiana. Matt, go ahead with your thoughts tonight.
So I just think that they're making a huge mistake with this. I understand.
You're talking about the Jeff Sessions anti-cannabis kind of movings?
Yeah, precisely. Okay. I understand it from the, if you run the federal government, you want the federal government to have supremacy, whereas if you run a state, you should want the state to have supremacy. But the whole policy behind the war on pot is one that I've been arguing that it isn't working.
Never
and
has.
We need to discontinue it.
Yeah, it never has worked. And it doesn't work either on the other drugs, just so you know. Like, it not only does it not work with marijuana.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. What we're doing now isn't working. It's just making our society more violent.
Sure is.
And it's basically putting money in the pockets of criminals.
Yeah, I mean, prohibition has always behaved in the same way, whether the product is alcohol or whether it's so-called illegal drugs or whether it's guns or prostitution or gambling. Anytime a service or a product is prohibited by the government, it goes underground, and when something goes underground, that means that it becomes the business of criminals, the people who are willing to flout the law, the people who are willing to risk arrest and risk prison time in order to be able to make immense profits because of those black markets. And it's always the same. And prohibition never wins in the long run, but it does make life more dangerous. It does increase the likelihood of your car getting broken into, you getting held up, your family being robbed. It increases all of the likelihoods of those things. And it's also not, it's also not accomplishing its goals, right? Like if the goal was to stop people from using drugs, it sure as hell hasn't done that either.
No, it has not. It has been a spectacular failure. But here's my question.
Yeah.
I have been debating with local radio talk show hosts in a friendly way because we agree about a lot of things, just this we don't agree on. And every time I mention, maybe we should discontinue this war on drugs, especially marijuana, he brings out the bromides. The THC of today is so much stronger, and that it's a gateway drug.
Uh-huh.
And I cannot point to any normal people where I was going to send into normal. Literally, the website is normal, but they're full of Trump-hating leftist loonies. I'm like, if he goes there, he's going to think, I smell a rat here.
Okay, so the objections, right? the idea that it's more potent than it was in the past may actually be true. There's more selection, there's more variety, and more professionals have taken time to cultivate these plants. But that just means you don't need to smoke as much of it. So that's one thing.
Right.
What's that?
Right, precisely.
Right. What was the second objection? I'm sorry, so I spaced on what it was.
That is the gateway drug.
That one is so long been disproved. You want to look up the 1999 Institute of Medicine study that the federal government themselves actually commissioned and then didn't want to publish once the results came back, which was their own study found that there was no gateway drug, that there is no gateway drug as far as cannabis is concerned, that if there's a gateway effect, it's because of the fact that it's marketed by criminals, and those criminals are also more likely to market other more hard drugs alongside, if you will, of the cannabis.
Yeah, because they're easier to transport, for one thing.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And besides all that, what's the goal of the war on drugs? Is the goal to stop people from using drugs? I mean, I'm just curious to know, what are these people who are still in favor of the war on drugs, what is it they think that they are going to accomplish if they just throw more money and more troops and more bombs and more Bearcats and all of this apparatus and the billions of dollars? What is it that they think they're going to accomplish?
A happy, peaceful, productive society.
Yeah,
which is pretty much what we have.
They expect they're going to get clear-minded individuals who are engaged with the world around them and not running away.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you have to solve that problem at the source. If people are depressed, if people are, upset in their lives, if they're frustrated, they're going to try to find an escape. And, whether you can, if you snap your fingers tomorrow and you make heroin disappear and you make all the other illegal drugs disappear, they're going to find something. They're going to, sniff glue. They're going to huff gasoline. They're going to, huff spray paint. There's so many different options out there for people.
All of which are actually a little bit more dangerous than even heroin. I mean, especially gasoline. Don't light a match.
Yeah, I'm not recommending any of those things, just to be clear. But that's just the nature of the kind of person, the person in their life who wants to escape from their reality. You can prohibit all kinds of things and throw all kinds of violence at those things. But ultimately, as we've seen, it doesn't do anything to stop people's drive.
Violence doesn't beget peace?
Yeah, exactly. Great call tonight, Matt. Let us know how your continued conversations go with these talk show hosts out there. We'll try to give you some sort of an approach for these people. And thanks for the call. But part of the thing with these hosts is they're dug into their position because that's sort of part and parcel of who their character is on the air. And they say you're not even supposed to change your opinion in talk radio, which I think is lame. More coming up.
The answer to being in control of your own healthcare is freedom from insurance. Become part of a group of self-pay patients that come together to share in each other's medical expenses. Individual share amounts begin at $107 a month and $347 for families. Choose from 3 health-sharing programs. Holistic treatments may be eligible for sharing. See guidelines. Discount programs available for dental, vision, and pharmacy. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Sunday edition of the program. You can dial in toll-free to bring up what you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. 855-450-3733. Whether it's savings, which we got to talk more about coming up here in moments with Economics in One Lesson. The book that we've been going through is kind of like a on-air book club. We'll get back into that. It's Ian and Johnny Ray in the studio here tonight, and do want to let you know about Whole Food Multi-Complete. It's over 60% of Americans take a nutritional supplement, and it's for good reason. Nutrient depletion of our soil, coupled with dependence on processed foods, has left most people deficient in those essential nutrients. But where do you start? If you visit a naturopath, you'll likely be told a cheap vitamin mineral supplement doesn't cut it. You'll also need probiotics, enzymes, antioxidants, and other nutrients. And by the time it's all said and done, you're buying 5 bottles of product and spending $150 per month. So if that's a situation that you've experienced, you need to know about Whole Food Multi-Complete. For 15 years, Whole Food Multi-Complete has been quietly providing what the big guys won't, the perfect blend of supplements in a single product. They've taken the expense and complexity out of following a complete supplement program. Just visit simplifymysupplements.com to learn more and use coupon code FTL to get 10% off your order. Every time you order, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. Once again, that's simplifymysupplements.com. We can talk more about altering one's state of consciousness and this insane war against it here in moments. But first, let's go to Larry in New Jersey, listening to WPG in Atlantic City. Go ahead, Larry.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, welcome.
You're not had a little off on the fractional reserve bank.
Okay, what do we get? What do we get wrong? Go ahead.
Okay, if somebody deposits $10, it doesn't mean automatically that the bank can lend out $90.
No.
The way it works is, say somebody deposits $1,000.
Yep.
The bank can lend out 90%. They have to keep 10% in reserve. That's all the demand deposits only. They can lend out $900, and they lend it, say, to somebody who wants to buy a car. The car dealer who they buy the car from has the $900. They put it back into the bank. The bank can then lend out 90% of the $900, $810. Say to somebody who wants to buy a refrigerator, and that refrigerator dealer, after the sale is done, puts it back in the bank, and then they can lend out 90% of that, and so forth. So there's a process there.
Well, I don't know why I thought it was 9 times the amount.
Well, in effect, it comes to if you put $1,000 of new money, say the Federal Reserve creates $1,000 of new money, and you put it in the bank, in effect, it does create 10 times the amount in theory, with the 10% reserve requirement. Now, that reserve requirement is only on demand deposits, which are checking accounts. Time deposits, which would be a passbook savings account, CD, as you had said, there is no reserve requirement, so they can lend out 100% of that.
I see.
But most banks try to keep some reserve, on hand for day-to-day transactions, but it's really only like 2 or 3 or 4%. See, the trouble is now, many years ago, the directors of the bank were personally responsible if the bank failed.
Oh, wow.
They had to make good for the loss of deposit.
They stopped doing that, I imagine. They get their buddies in politics to exempt them.
They were very, very careful to whom they lent money to, and to make sure they had, sufficient collateral and so forth. But that doesn't exist
Then
anymore.
they changed the policies to where they could loan out to anybody that could fog a mirror, and they knew the government was going to back them on it. Right.
Right, but fractional reserve-free banking has been around since about the 1600s, and it started with goldsmiths. People used to put their gold coins on deposit with a goldsmith because he had a vault. And the goldsmith realized he would issue
warehouse receipts, yeah.
Right, and they found out that people were using these receipts as money, and this is how the whole thing started.
Okay.
And the goldsmith realized that not everybody would come and redeem these receipts, so he would start lending out some of the gold that's on deposit.
And it works until there's a run on the bank.
Right. But paradoxically, the countries that exhibit the occasional boom and bust, the runs on the banks, and they have a big boom and then a bust, a boom and a bust, these are the countries that through history have grown the most.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's because of whatever their banking setup is that they grew the most, but I mean, certainly it's a correlation.
Well, these are the countries that have grown the most because people learned their lesson. Every 20 years or so, people want to get involved in speculation and so forth and so on. And then they learn their lesson for a little while, so the next generation comes along. And these countries are the countries that have moved like the United States in the 19th century, Great Britain, and so forth. But
Larry, did you ever work in banking, or are you just a
No, I just read a lot.
Okay.
I read, and I have I'm 68. I've been involved in this in 50 years.
What do you think about cryptocurrency as somebody who is well read on banking?
I think it is the you know what the tulip mania was?
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, well, wait till someday when it becomes worthless, because that day's coming.
When it becomes worthless? I didn't hear what you said there.
Worth zero.
What makes you think that'll happen?
Because it's a craze. But
it didn't start as a craze. It may be a craze now, but a year ago it wasn't a craze.
Right, but when the public latches onto it, it'll become a craze. Okay, that people will bid up the price and so forth and so on, and then it'll crash. It's the people who started early on. These are the ones who are going to make out, and the ones at the end are going to be left holding the bag. It happens all the time, just like the tulip mania or the South Sea bubble or the Florida land boom in the 20s. It's all the same. In any type of market, there's a long period of accumulation where the insiders accumulate.
Sure.
Then when the public latches on,
it's too late.
Prices go up very sharply, and then it breaks.
Yeah,
and
I mean, a lot of people are predicting a crash, but obviously everybody has their opinion on how drastic it's going to be. You're saying you think it's going to go down to zero, or were you just being...
It'll go to zero eventually, of course, because it'll come out that there's fraud involved or there's some sort
Well,
of...
there's no fraud involved because it's open source. So anybody who wants to can go and audit the code of almost every cryptocurrency out there. So there can't be fraud. It's basically a trustless system.
But confidence will be lost in it.
No doubt. No doubt. If it crashes, there will be a huge loss in confidence. That's definitely true.
This is what happens with banks. Before the FDIC, the confidence would be lost in the bank, and everybody'd run down and try to withdraw their money at the same time. It's like the game of musical chairs. You know that game, right?
Yes. Who doesn't know that game?
Right. So with the fractional reserve banking, or with the cryptocurrency, but with the fractional reserve banking, it's really there's only one chair and there's 10 people walking around waiting for the music to stop.
Larry, I have
think of it that way.
I have a question for you, Larry. I appreciate the education you gave me about fractional reserve banking. Is fractional reserve banking good or bad?
I see in a free market. I see nothing wrong with it. If someone or a company wanted to open a 100% reserve banking, they could do that. And if somebody wanted their money specifically on demand, whenever they would go in there,
right,
you'd have to charge people to keep the money in the bank. Which, if you want that safety, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And in a free market, somebody could do that. And if you want to take the chance, because when you say you put money in the bank, you no longer hold title for that money. You are lending it to the bank. The bank now has title of the money.
Larry, I've got to say, I like what you had to say on the banks. Don't agree with you on cryptocurrency, but I guess time will tell on that one. And I thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. There's more on the way. Our number here is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733 live Sunday edition. This is Free Talk Live.
Thinking about getting into cryptocurrency but feel overwhelmed by the high price of Bitcoin? Or maybe you've used Bitcoin in the past, but were turned off by the high transaction fees and slow transfer times. It's time you looked into Dash. Dash is digital international money that you can send anywhere, anytime for less than a nickel. With Dash, your transactions can be instant and private. Dash offers a fully incentivized and decentralized peer-to-peer network where miners are rewarded for keeping the network fast, strong, and safe for its users. Start your journey at Dash.org. Since its launch in 2014, Dash has made a huge impact in the crypto world and is showing no signs of stopping. Check out Dash.org for more information about Dash and get in now on the future of cryptocurrency. Dash.org.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. The Bitcoin.com wallet supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Download the Bitcoin.com wallet for easy and secure access to your Bitcoin Core and your Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Aging is one. As a police officer, I constantly live in fear that I might be filmed brutalizing a civilian. It's something you know from the time you're a cadet. The slightest civil rights infraction in front of anyone who's looking, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by cameras and trending on Twitter. No cop should have to worry about that. Practically every precinct I know has somebody serving desk duty just for acting on deeply rooted prejudices when somebody had a recording device on them. It happened to my partner, and it even happened to our own captain. One day he's just kicking an unarmed pedestrian in the ribs when all of a sudden people with cameras are everywhere, and then they just start shooting what he was doing, all 6 minutes of it. I can't help but think sometimes that could have been me ending up at that desk job. You never know which day of total impunity will be your last, but for a cop, that's just our daily reality.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. You may dial toll free to join us right here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, so Skype on in here. It's Skype username LRN.FM. And in the studio here tonight, it's me, Ian.
And me, Johnny Ray.
Let's go back to your phone calls and thoughts. We can talk more about savings coming up here in a moment. That was the chapter in the book of Economics in One Lesson that we are kind of going through chapter by chapter and doing kind of a book club on the air here. We'll continue that. But first we go to Skype, where Bad Slave is on the line in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Okay.
Hey.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Our just previous caller, our friendly 68-year-old. I'm only 3 years behind him, by the way.
Okay.
I've been in IT since the 70s. So, you know, my awareness of, you know, what Bitcoin, the blockchain and all that sort of thing. I don't know in details how it works, but I understand how it works. And so I'm, as long as the internet stays alive, and, you know, have you yet seen in the history of America, or even before, going back maybe 1,000 years, where an advancement in technology, you know, the printing press, you know, movable type, radio, all, you know, typewriters, you know, all the information technology that we have been dealing with, none of it's disappeared, right?
Typewriters have pretty much gone the wayside, but most of
the functions that typewriters perform have just been improved upon.
True.
With
Word processing
stuff we have
completely replaced. Without a problem.
Right, and there's no reason why cryptocurrency couldn't be one-upped. There could be some sort of other thing that comes along that just destroys Bitcoin or the other cryptocurrencies that we just haven't, you know, realized is going to be important yet.
That will be the better thing.
Yeah.
More than likely. But in order for there to be you know, a cryptocurrency, if it's not replaced with
something
the
better,
next iteration, then it won't go away. You know,
because like you said, that's a great point, because Cryptocurrency is a technological increase. It is a market increase in the technology of money, in that it allows people to have their own Swiss bank account in their pocket, basically, if they want to. It allows the individual to have control over the money, and that is something that is so. The people can control the money. It's such a paradigm shift as far as money is concerned. That's why it's hard for some people to wrap their heads around exactly how important of an idea this is. It's such a good idea, and it's such good technology. I do tend to agree with you. The more that you know about it, I think the more confident that you can be that this is a technology that is not going to go away. And I think you make an excellent point about older tech that is still with us today. I mean, radio has celebrated its 100th year, I believe. Beyond that, actually, since Marconi, but I believe some radio stations, for instance, are celebrating, centennials and things like that.
Technically, they're still using teletype.
Teletype, okay.
Dashes and dots. They still.
Oh, Morse code.
Morse code is still embedded into some of the, radio transmissions that are going on. That ham radio.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
But another thing related to what he said, he's right that there's market-based solutions that should replace and deal with. But
he was right about the banks being, they could be fine and have more options in a marketplace where they weren't regulated by the government. Is that what you were saying?
Well, that's true. I'm saying right now money is not open market yet. I mean, it's on the verge of being open market for anyone who's involved in a decent cryptocurrency. But what the guy's missing out on is that what's going on with the Federal Reserve and fractional reserve banking is unsustainable.
Well, no government currency is sustainable. I mean, the history of governments issued fiat is a history of failure. It's really just a question of how long they've got.
For him and you also to not bring that into the discussion is a big hole that you left, but that's okay.
Okay, well, that's why we have open phones, so you just did it.
And so basically, we're going to, what I would ask him is that if you believe that in fractional reserve banking and it's a reasonable thing and it should be run by the market, then we should all be able to create our own fractional reserve bank.
Yeah, why not? I mean, that would be a free marketplace where anybody could create a bank. Now, whether or not anybody's going to use your bank is another question. Do you have good security? Are your staff friendly? There's a lot of questions there.
I mean, but those are the requirements for having a bank.
Yeah.
And if I don't need the government or the Federal Reserve System to tell me that.
No,
so
definitely not.
He's dropping the ball on understanding what free marketing, because I doubt that he would agree that anybody should be able to open a bank.
Oh, I don't know. And unfortunately, we only have one call per night, and I can't ask him to call back in to find that out. But that's, I mean, I'm not going to speculate on it because I don't know him well enough.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but hey, Bad Slave, thanks for the call and the thoughts. I appreciate that. Let's talk to Sharon in Long Beach, listening on the radio. Sharon, what state are you in? Are you in California?
California.
Okay.
Cool. Long Beach, California.
All right. Good that you're listening on the radio out there. I didn't even know we were on the air there. So go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, you are.
Great.
But the subject I want to talk about, just short for a minute here, is a little bit different than what you're doing tonight. But
that's fine. It's open phones. You can bring up anything you want. Please go right ahead.
Well, a while back, the public found out that the VA hospitals were allowing vets to die rather than give them medicine that they needed or operations that they needed.
Yep.
They refused to give them diagnosis of serious problems like cancer and wouldn't treat them, and they waited until they had stage 4 cancer and died of it. Now, this has been happening for 6 years.
Oh, it's been going on for much longer than that.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, my son was in the Long Beach VA hospital here in California, and he was there for 24-hour observation. Is all he was there for. He had every, they had tested him and X-rayed him and everything. He had a pain in his side, and they just said that they want to keep him for 24 hours and see how he felt the next day. And probably they said he would be able to go home, except that during that time, one of the interns gave my son medication that he was never supposed to have and put him in a coma.
Wow.
And an inspector or an investigator came in. The hospital called an investigator, and I was there when he came. He questioned the intern, and the intern finally confessed in front of me that yes, he gave my son all this medication. My son, he told the investigator, my son was yelling at him, cussing at him, telling him to get away from him. That wasn't medication he was supposed to have, whatever it was. And so he said that my son was combative. So he gave him extra doses of it to knock him out. How
did he administer it? Was it through an IV? Because it sounded like your son was objecting, so I wouldn't think he would voluntarily take it.
Yeah, I guess. See, I don't think he had an IV. Maybe he did. They always give you an IV when you go in, but he was just going to be there for 24 hours to see what that pain was.
And he ended up in a coma.
All his tests that he was fine. That they couldn't find anything wrong with him. And but this intern did say that he gave him medication, and the doctor wasn't in the room. And
Johnny Ray, you were in the military. I'm wondering if you had any experience with the VA hospitals. And Sharon, if you want, you can hang on a little bit here. We'll continue the discussion because, she said this started 6 years ago. No. People have been being damaged by these hospitals for a long time. It's Free Talk Live.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $17.22 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,320 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $55, and the average price of Bitcoin is $16,487. Antiwar.com reports an emergency meeting at the UN Security Council on the subject of a week-long protest in Iran saw a series of speeches, including the U.S. reiterating its previous public statements backing demonstrators and threatening Iran, and other nations wondering why this was worth an emergency meeting. French Ambassador Francois Delattre insisted the Iran protest had nothing to do with the international peace and security, warning against attempts to exploit this crisis for personal ends, which many see as a rebuke directed at the United States. Russian Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia was even more frank, saying the meeting amounted to the U.S. abusing its position at the UN to mess with Iran, and noting the United Nations did not have an emergency meeting after the U.S. crackdowns in Ferguson. Iran insisted the matter was an internal affair, not something for the UN to weigh in on, and China agreed with their ambassador, calling it purely a domestic issue. There is no sign there was any interest beyond the U.S. for taking any action at the meeting. After the meeting adjourned, Russia agreed to closed-door talks on what they called the American Initiative, but there was no indication that anything has come of that since then.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
UPI reports Hewlett-Packard has recalled 50,000 lithium-ion batteries for notebook computers and mobile workstations, according to a news release. The batteries can overheat and pose fire and burn hazards, according to a statement released on Thursday by the United States Consumer Product and Safety Commission. The computer company received 8 reports of battery packs overheating, melting, or charring, including 3 reports of property damage totaling $4,500. One incident included a first-degree burn to the person's hand. The batteries were sold from December 2015 through December 2017 at Best Buy, Amazon, and HP.com, and other stores and authorized dealers nationwide. They were shipped in notebook computers and mobile workstations and also purchased separately. HP is urging consumers to check the website hp.com/go/battery program 2018 to see if their battery is included in the recall. The website has instructions about what to do if the battery is included in the recall, including how to enable battery safe mode. According to the news release, batteries will be replaced for free by authorized technicians.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the author of a book that is highly critical of Donald Trump's first year as U.S. president said his revelations were likely to bring an end to Trump's time in the White House. Michael Wolff told BBC Radio that his conclusion in Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House that Trump is not fit to do the job was becoming a widespread view. Wolff said in the interview broadcast on Saturday, "I think one of the interesting effects of the book so far is a very clear emperor has no clothes effect," adding, "The story that I have told seems to present this presidency in such a way that says he can't do his job." Trump has dismissed the book as full of lies. It depicts a chaotic White House, a president who was ill-prepared to win the office in 2016. Trump took to Twitter late on Friday, posting, "Michael Wolff is a total loser who made up stories in order to sell his really boring and untruthful book. He used Sloppy Steve Bannon, who cried when he got fired and begged for his job. Now Sloppy Steve has been dumped like a dog by almost everyone. Too bad." Bannon, formerly Trump's chief strategist, is chairman of the so-called alt-right Breitbart News website. In his interview with the BBC, Wolff was asked if he believed that Bannon felt Trump was unfit to serve as president and would try to bring him down. Wolff replied, "Yes." This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It seems like we're constantly hearing different fitness advice. Exercise 2 to 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes a day. And don't forget cardio. But don't exercise too much or you'll get hurt. So, how much exercise should you be getting? Well, actually not that much, since the human body is only built to withstand walking a short distance before lying or sitting down again. In fact, a group of biologists from Stanford found that walking more than 5 feet at a time can cause joint pain, fatigue, and even extreme hunger. The study concluded that the maximum effort the human body can safely endure is reaching for an item high on a shelf. Our bodies simply aren't built to stand up and move around. So maybe those high-intensity spin classes and daily jogs aren't such a good idea. Instead of walking up the stairs every day, try taking the elevator whenever possible. You can even use a fitness tracker to let you know when you've been exerting too much energy. Your body will appreciate it. For The Onion, I'm Jill Hooper.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of this live Sunday edition of the program. So sorry to anybody who was trying to watch us on the LRN.FM YouTube feed. Apparently that no longer exists. Got banned from YouTube for a month tonight, and I have no idea why. Johnny Ray, you weren't taking your clothes off earlier, were you?
No, I wasn't.
No? Okay, so that
but
wasn't it.
But you were violating the community standards somehow.
That's what they said, yeah. They don't say when, and they don't say which standard, but yet they'll allow you to appeal the decision. So if you click the button to appeal, then they let you write in one line of what it is that you want to say on your behalf, in which case I said, well, you didn't tell me what the violation was or when it happened, so I'm not sure how I'm supposed to address this. Submit. And that's that. I suspect it was probably copyright, would be my guess, because some of the shows on LRN.FM don't really care about copyright, and frankly, I don't either. But these companies certainly do, companies like YouTube and that kind of thing. So we'll have to figure out what to do about that, if anything at all. But here we are, doing a radio show anyway, because it's not a video medium primarily. Primarily, it's just our voice in your ears, and your voice, if you want, on the air with us. Our number here is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got to talk more about savings here. That's what we started the show with. We're going to come back to it. I've got an email that we haven't gotten through, and then we have to talk about the chapter about savings in Economics in One Lesson. So we're going to do some economic discussions here tonight. But it's always open phones here on Free Talk Live, and we have Sharon on the line in Long Beach, California. And you were sharing a tragic story involving your son who was in the military, had gone to a VA hospital with a pain in his side. They had run some tests. They were going to hold him for observing overnight. And during that time frame, an intern, you say, admitted actually to you to having given him the wrong pills and ultimately causing him to slip into a coma. Did he ever recover from that coma, or did he pass away?
They gave him this medication because he was arguing with the intern about he did not want this medication. He knew that wasn't for him.
How did he end up taking the medication if he wasn't forced to by an IV?
Intravenously. Yeah, he did have an IV.
Why would he have? Well, hold on. I mean, if he was conscious, did they do it while he was unconscious? Do you think?
No, he was conscious, and he was yelling at them to, not to give him this medication. It turns out they had the wrong paperwork. They had somebody else's name on that paperwork.
Oh, geez.
And my son knew that he wasn't there to take medicine. He was just there for observation.
Right.
But
why do they have him hooked up to an IV if he's just there for observation? I'm not a nurse, so I don't know anything about this, but that seems weird.
He was in pain. He had pain in his side, but they do that to keep him from getting dehydrated or whatever.
But isn't that normally what they do? I mean, again, maybe there's a nurse out there that can call in about this. And I'm not saying the VA hospital knows what the hell they're doing, but isn't the reason you normally hook up an IV is if the person is sort of like bedridden, where they can't raise their own hand or their own arm to their mouth to drink?
They were giving him pain medication for this pain.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't mean you can't have a glass of water. But anyway, I'm not denying your story. I just, some things don't totally add up. And we've heard so many different stories about the VA and the nightmares that people have had in these hospitals. And we're not just talking about, the ones that hit the mainstream media. Also, stories like yours, just people who've had a personal experience personally or through a family member with just an absolutely nightmarish situation. Was there ever any kind of recompense? And you didn't answer the question. Did your son pass away in the coma, or did he recover?
He was in the coma, and the doctor on the floor was having some kind of a nervous breakdown because he was being accused of letting interns practice medicine without him being in the room. And and I was at the hospital. I was by my son's bedside. When the investigator came in, he put my son on like a dialysis machine, and he said that should take the medicine out of his system, and he'll wake up. He said he's got a good chance of waking up. Probably a few days. He said he might be on that machine. But 2 days later, I'm sitting by his bedside. He looked fine, just like asleep. And the doctor on the floor was getting crazier by the minute. He asked me to go into the waiting room, the family waiting room, while they adjusted something. So I did. While I was in the waiting room, evidently he smothered my son to death.
What?
Yes. And
evidently, wait a minute. What is the evidence for that?
Well, when I was sitting in the waiting room, he comes to the waiting room door about 20 minutes later, opens the door, he's all cheerful, and he goes, "Miss Mason, you can see your son now." Well, I thought my son had woken up. He was so cheerful. And as I'm walking toward the room, he's on my left side, but he's staying a step behind me, and he's watching my face. And those rooms don't have doors. You can see in the rooms. So I was just walking into the room, and I noticed that the machine was gone. I got a little bit closer to my son's bed, and it was the most horrible sight I've ever seen in my life. He went from looking completely normal to having his face crushed, having his tongue sticking out of his mouth all the way black. His lip was torn, and it was down to his jawbone.
And just to clarify, what length of time had elapsed between when you left your
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
I mean, it's a stunning story. I don't know. Was there any kind of proof of your allegation that this man smothered your son?
It's being investigated. It is being investigated by the FBI and the Tort Law Group in Washington, D.C., and I've contacted every agency. I've contacted every agency I could think of, but something did come out on TV 4 months ago. A Dr. Christian Head at the Los Angeles VA hospital, which governs the Long Beach VA hospital that did this to my son, he came out on TV because now that President Trump has signed that bill that whistleblowers will be protected. It was a VA bill to start going after all these doctors and hospitals that have done all this harm. So Dr. Christian Hayes, a top surgeon at the LA VA, came out on the news and said that Los Angeles VA hospital, in less than 3 years, has killed 140,000 vets.
Wow, that's crazy.
140,000.
Yeah, you're not the first person with a story like this with, the claim. I knew a guy in Florida, and thank you, by the way, Sharon, for the call. I'm so sorry to hear about that. But I knew a guy in Florida who was a cab driver, and he was, older gentleman, probably close to 70. And he was convinced that the doctors at the VA hospital were trying to kill him. I mean, he fully believed that it wasn't just incompetence. It was actual malice on the parts of these doctors. The idea being that if they kill off their patients, they have less work to do. Johnny Ray, you were in the military. I mean, do you believe that story?
I don't believe the story. I don't believe Sharon's story.
Yeah.
It's just too outrageous.
Shocking.
It's too crazy for me.
It sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah. But I have zero experience with the VA. When I was on active duty.
Marines.
Yeah, when I was on active duty, I was treated the few times that I had any kind of medical evaluation by Navy personnel.
Okay.
And then once I got out, that was it. I actually haven't been to the doctor. I've had my eyes examined.
Would you go? I mean, you got the free VA, don't you? I mean, if you go there.
I think I would go, but I'm not sure my papers are in order.
I see.
And I wouldn't want to go. I would rather go. I just feel safer when there's money involved.
Right.
And
well, there's money involved. The VA's getting plenty of money. I'm sure their budgets are very high.
I feel safer when I'm giving someone money for something.
When you're making the choice. You're the customer.
When I'm part of the transaction, then I feel that I know that I've got a stake in it. Where if I go to the VA, I don't. It's all public relations.
It was an unbelievably horrifying story. I mean, there have been some pretty horrifying situations in some of these VA hospitals, so I don't know. Crazy. You can share your thoughts here with us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. The VA hospitals are socialized medicine, and that's why they're bad.
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories. While I say these hobgoblins are imaginary, I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises,
since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited here to join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up in like 6 weeks. Anarchapulco, 5 weeks. It's coming up fast, and it's going to be February 15th through the 18th. The final day of Anarchapulco this year, like last year, is going to be Cryptopulco, where they'll be focusing on all cryptocurrency-related speeches. But throughout the whole 15th through the 18th, there's going to be a lot of great liberty-oriented speakers. They're going to be making anarchy great again with guest speakers, including keynote speaker Ron Paul, as well as G. Edward Griffin, Jeffrey Tucker, Roger Ver, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, Bruce Fenton, Brett Vinot, Julia Taransky, Dana Martin, Juan Galt, Adam Kokesh, Kerry Wedler, Vitya Laika, and Sterling Lujan. Like almost everybody on that list we've had on the air here on Free Talk Live. There's a few of them that we haven't, so we're going to have to make sure we talk to them, because we're going to be broadcasting live from Anarchapulco. There's going to be live music from Jordan Page, Backwards, Rob Hustle, and more. It's all happening at the Princess Resort in Acapulco, Mexico. And it was a great event last year. They're moving the location this year. Last year's resort was fantastic. This one's going to be right there on the beach, so it may be even better. Check it out over at anarchapulco.com. Get your tickets with code FTL, and then you get 10% off the regular ticket prices for the main event. That's anarchapulco.com. There are also sort of sub-events or related events that are happening at around that time frame, like the Health and Wellness Retreat, Change Media University with Luke Radowski, and even an Amazonian ceremony called the Snake and the Jaguar. You'll have to go and read more about that over at anarchapulco.com, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Again, don't forget code FTL when you get your tickets. It's Ian and Johnny Ray here in the studio tonight. Let's go to Pat. He's in northern Michigan. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hey,
good evening.
What's on your mind tonight?
Well, yes, I'm piggybacking on a girl that just called in from about the VA crisis and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna. Oh God, I'm having a hard time with this. I'm a little emotional.
That's all right.
It's a horrific tale of government abuse and a spent life.
Tell me about it.
All right, back in the late '60s, a buddy of mine was 17. He was being beaten, and his little brother was being beaten, and his mother was being beaten by an abusive stepfather. So he finally, became man enough at the age of 17. Well, he killed that SOB.
Okay.
And the judge gave him a choice this time. Well, you go to jail or go to Nam.
Wow. All right.
He said, well, I'm going to Nam.
I don't know if I would have made that choice,
so,
but yeah, go ahead.
A couple of years into his, I'm going to try to roll through this quick for you boys. A couple of years into his first hitch, he ended up shot down in a mud patty in a chopper, only survivor.
Jeez.
One machine gun survived. Ran out of ammunition for that after about the first day and a half. Fought him off for 3 days by himself with, at the end, just shotguns and 45. And he ended up signing up for another hitch. Well, of course, I mentioned the chopper. Well, years later, he come home. He ended up growing Frankenstein bolts on his neck from the Agent Orange and stuff. And he could get little no help from VA. And this man was a hero.
So he did some, heroic things in battle, and then signed back up for more of it. Ended up with Frankenstein bolts in his neck. What does that mean?
Well, yeah, growth from the Agent Orange.
I see. Mutations.
All right, but it gets even worse, guys. This stuff is hereditary. It ended up getting passed down to his kids.
What? Okay, so you're saying that
dude. I'm telling you, this is biblical. How many generations?
So what you're saying is the military screwed him with the Agent Orange in the first place, and then screwed him again by neglecting him in the VA?
Yep, and it's passed down to the next generation.
Isn't it amazing how many stories like this?
And the VA claims he got, like I said, they what is the word, duplicity? I don't know. I'm a little, like I said, I'm a little rattled here.
Yeah, well, I mean, in a lot of cases, duplicity would be somebody who's pretending to be one thing and doing something else.
No, yeah, okay, like I said, it's the wrong word.
But it sounds horrible, and it's what's amazing to me is that despite the number of stories over decades of VA malfeasance and incompetence and mismanagement and just open, killing and death, poor hospitals, the military, not just the VA, but also the military experimenting on soldiers and mistreating them and abusing them, and putting people in horrifyingly unnecessary conditions. It's just amazing that people still support these organizations. They still go ahead.
We all know when you put the government in charge, if anybody can screw it up, they will.
They sure will. And then in this case, we're talking about people's lives, and they don't care. They don't care. It's just another.
It doesn't that really affect all of our lives in any aspect of government intervention? I mean, there's a certain amount of shadow factor no matter where you go.
It's bad news, and I don't understand why people continue to blindly accept that these bureaucrats, that these government programs are somehow beneficial. They're not. The U.S. military puts us in danger.
I think the worst thing that we face in the government union is probably the biggest union in the country.
Well, there's a bunch of them, but yeah, I get
the
what you're
unions
saying.
that have stood, like the truckers union, the iron workers union, they've stood on a little bit of cojones.
Mm-hmm.
The government union just kind of said, "Oh, we're here too, and we want representation," and they become the biggest friggin' one.
Yeah, well, they're dug in. I mean, they're dug in like ticks. You can't get rid of them. They are there for their life.
Yeah, exactly. Ticks and chiggers.
Guys, whenever I think about Agent Orange, or I should say I think about Agent Orange when I consider that a lot of people want the government to protect us, to protect the environment.
They claim that, yeah.
Yeah, and the government is probably the biggest polluter. The U.S. government is probably the biggest polluter in the world. They manufacture products that are specifically designed to destroy the environment, stuff like Agent Orange. In the Middle East, they had all of the ordnance that they needed to get rid of. They all piled it all together in heaps and set it on fire.
Wow.
These burn pits in Iraq and elsewhere have caused a lot of U.S. soldiers to die.
Really?
Joe
Just from the
Biden's
chemicals, the smoke or whatever?
Joe Biden's son died of cancer, brain cancer, I think, and he had spent a lot of time at a base with a burn pit. They were all the weapons that they found and the stuff they had to get rid of, they just burned it, and it would just go up in smoke, and the soldiers would have ash on them. And they were breathing it in.
Not good.
No.
Not good at all.
But the folks who want the government to protect the environment, they don't understand that the government is the biggest killer and destroyer of same.
Great points, guys. Pat, thanks for the call. I appreciate the story.
I got it.
Toll-free number. Yep. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Whether you want to talk about the awful government military and its ancillary programs or whatever is on your mind, you may do that here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. We can talk more about savings coming up here, and then Johnny Ray might have a game of the week to tell us about. It's Free Talk Live.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original, most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may dial in toll-free to join us on the radio waves here. The number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, and the Skype username here is LRN.FM. Bitcoin.com. Great place to go to if you've heard about cryptocurrency, you've heard about Bitcoin, you've seen the news headlines about the amazing price of one Bitcoin that just over this weekend hit as high as $17,000 US. It's taken a bit of a drop since then, now at around $16,000 US per Bitcoin. But it's something that you really owe it to yourself to take a little bit of time to learn about. Don't stay in the dark because, you just haven't taken a few moments to go and watch a quick video or read an article about it. And they've got a lot of great news items and such over at news.bitcoin.com. If you want to get the latest headlines about Bitcoin, that's a great site to go to. But if you want just the basics, it's a great place to start and learn about the incredibly deep world of cryptocurrency. You can get as deep into that world as you want to, but at the very least, you ought to understand the basics about what it is because it's not going away. Unlike what our caller earlier believes, I'm with you, Johnny Ray. I think that cryptocurrency is here to stay for the foreseeable future. So you really ought to check it out at bitcoin.com. As we continue here, you can bring up anything you want. We've been talking about recently, we've had some calls related to the VA system, which is just a horrible socialist medicine system. And, of course, a lot of socialist medicine systems don't result in very good care for certain people. There are some people who feel as though they've gotten a great deal out of socialism. It's usually younger people, is what we've heard over the years on Free Talk Live, where like a younger person from Canada will call in and talk about how great their experience was with the Canadian government-run healthcare system there. But of course, they're young and in relatively good health, and they are also the active taxpayer in Canada. So the Canadian tax system, if you will, the Canadian government, has more of an incentive to take care of the younger people in its system. They're the ones who are feeding in to pay the bills. Whereas the older folks, whether they live or die really doesn't matter that much to the socialized healthcare system. So let's make them wait 6 months before they can get the surgery that they need to solve the problem that they have. Or maybe we'll just decide that they don't need that operation at all. I mean, because after all, if grandma dies at age 81 or age 82, it really isn't going to matter to the government-run healthcare system because she's not working anymore. She's not actively paying into the system. I know that sounds cold, but they actually have panels of bureaucrats who decide whether or not people get treatment.
Yeah, I was just going to say what you're talking about, the concept of death panels, which sound horrifying and dystopian, but it's necessary if you have a bureaucratic system to pay for your health care.
You've got to allocate the money somehow.
Yeah, if you're living in a totally free market, then you yourself are going to decide whether or not you're going to pay for that procedure or that test or anything or what have you.
Well, of course, the argument, Johnny Ray, from the supporter of a universal healthcare system would be that, well, but what if you can't afford it, Johnny? Then you have to decide no, because you can't afford this insanely expensive surgery. At least under a government-run system, there's a chance they're going to fund it for you if you're younger.
Well, I mean, you can affording something is about making choices, usually. Mm-hmm. If it's a question of a procedure that honestly costs $1 million, a lot of people won't be able to afford that, and that's just life. That's the world. In a few years...
That's a cold answer.
Well, that's the world isn't fair. Life isn't fair. My parents...
Yeah, but you can use the violence of government to make sure that you get that thing paid for.
In a few years... the price of all these groundbreaking procedures comes down, and eventually everyone...
Does it, though? Not with intellectual property laws out there.
In the natural world, that's how it happens.
You're talking about in theory, in the absence of regulation. You're saying that the marketplace would drive costs of these technologies down, would make it so there was competition. But even in the areas of something that's not common, right? Like, heart disease or cancer are pretty common, but in like some weirdo, bizarre, very unusual circumstance that somebody comes down with, some kind of malady, I'm sure health-related field people couldn't throw a name of one of those things out there, but something that's unusual, there's not a lot of competition in the area of solving that problem. Don't we need government to force people to research solutions there?
No. We just need more doctors. We need more people to be allowed to practice medicine. And the best ones who are in these rare fields will always be able to command the highest prices, but if others are allowed to get into the business, then the price will come down. But if you have an exceptionally rare skill, then you will always be able to command the highest price for it, and it'll be expensive if it is expensive, and it'll be cheap if it's cheap.
Yeah, that much is true. I mean, I think typically the answer is charity. So in the situations where you've got a person who cannot afford to pay for something, in the same way that when somebody's house burns down, a bunch of people in the area or from elsewhere will, in a lot of cases, donate quite a bit of money to the victim family there, the victims of fire. We can see that with healthcare. We can see that with all kinds of charitable efforts to feed the hungry and to help the sick and the elderly. I think that people are charitable and people do want to help others, and that we don't need to force people. I think that the answer of, well, sorry, you rolled the dice, kid, and you're just going to have to die now. That's not a persuasive answer to get somebody to say, okay, I give up. We don't need this government-run healthcare system. But then again, a lot of the times the people who believe in government-run healthcare systems want to have that system because they don't believe people are charitable. They believe that people are bad. They believe that people are inherently evil and selfish and will not help their neighbor. I think there's so much evidence to the contrary of that, but a person who believes that about humanity is not likely to see any evidence that you produce. But nonetheless, I still think that at least appealing to charity is better than just saying, well, too bad, kid. You rolled the dice and you didn't come up a winner. Nice knowing you.
Yeah, charity is fine.
Yeah.
Charity is beautiful. I think it's not a real solution. And I think a real solution is the advancement of learning. A lot of procedures that are offered these days are. There's an article called "How Doctors Die" that came out a few years ago, and in the article it explained that when doctors get certain diagnoses, they do not. They don't do what they tell their patients to do.
Do as I say, not as I do.
They don't. They don't try everything that can be done. They
Really?
don't do everything that can be done. They go and they get their affairs in order, and then they die.
Really?
Yes, because in their careers, they've seen that when, say, somebody has cancer, instead of allowing someone to die, they prolong their life for a matter of months or years, and it is a very low quality
poor life.
It's a life full of nausea and losing your hair.
Yeah, that
and
doesn't sound good.
Right, and
you're saying the doctors won't allow that to happen to themselves.
doctors don't do that to themselves.
Interesting.
Doctors die with dignity, and when they know what the odds are of survival, they're in the business and they see it every day, and they very often don't risk the odds. They try to maximize the quality of their life, what it remains of it.
Is it the admonition or whatever of do no harm that the doctors have to follow? Is that what's causing some of this, where they have some sort of obligation to try to extend somebody's life, even if it's going to be a less than desirable life?
I would say it's doing away with the concept of do no harm that will cause a doctor to have their patient go through hell for the final few months of their life.
To some extent, though, the patient is seeking that. I mean, the patients do want to extend their lives in some cases, I would imagine, even if it won't be ideal. More coming up on Free Talk Live.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
Thinking about getting into cryptocurrency? It's time you looked into Dash. Dash is digital money that you can use to send instant and private payments anywhere for pennies. Dash offers a decentralized network where miners are rewarded for keeping it strong and safe. Dash has made a huge impact in the crypto world. Start your journey. Check out Dash.org for more information and get in now on the future of cryptocurrency. Dash.org.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core wallet that allows you to send and receive either currency with anyone, anywhere in the world. Download the Bitcoin.com wallet for easy and secure access to your Bitcoin Cash. It's perfect for beginners, and the Bitcoin.com wallet makes using and holding Bitcoins easy. No logins are required. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available for Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and even Linux. Learn more at Bitcoin.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free to bring up anything that you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype as well, so feel free to Skype on in here at Skype username LRN.FM. And in the studio with you here tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And me, Johnny Ray.
So we're going to go to your calls and your thoughts. You're certainly welcome to bring up whatever's on your mind. Also, we still can talk more about, and we should talk more about savings in moments, plus your calls and thoughts. So let's go to the phones, to the fun. Fred, listening in Michigan. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Fred.
You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I'm calling about, I was listening to Coast about a week ago, and there's a guy that's evidently been doing this research ever since the government started doing this. I'm calling on contrails.
Contrails?
Contrails, the stuff they throw in the sky.
Yeah, you're talking about the condensation that comes behind an airplane based on atmospheric conditions?
No. I'm not talking about normal jet trails. I'm talking about the stuff that hangs.
Well, that's what a contrail is. Sometimes it hangs based on the temperature and water vapor.
Well, I'm telling you,
turning into
what
ice.
They're spraying is fly ash.
Fly ash?
Spraying coal fly ash.
What is fly ash?
Many toxins. All the guys that have been doing the research on this stuff have been trying to collect it from rainwater to figure out what they've been
How's that worked
spraying.
out?
Well, it hasn't worked out well.
It's because it's a bunch of crap.
This guy got behind them evidently.
That's because
with
it's a bunch of
plane and
garbage.
got a hold of the trail.
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap, dude. It's paranoid nonsense. You're talking about the idea of chemtrails, which people have been calling this show about for years, and there's no evidence for it besides the fantasies cooked up in people's minds.
They are creating an artificial ceiling above the earth.
No.
Which creates the global warming that they perceive will give them control.
There's no global warming, dude, and no.
No, I know there's no global warming, but they're trying to pound that into our heads.
Yeah,
because they are creating.
So there's different stories here, Fred. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Just because you hear it on, some talk show in the middle of the night doesn't make it true. And even if they were on in the middle of the day,
I have witnessed it in many places.
no,
across
just because
the
you're
country.
seeing contrails in the sky doesn't mean somebody is poisoning you.
No, dude.
Or,
where I'm at right now, it's been below zero for a week.
Yeah.
As soon as it was 20 degrees, they spread a grid above the whole damn county. And I'm only 20 miles away from an air base.
Right.
Okay?
So you believe
I'm
that
not
they're
just
putting
blowing
some
smoke.
so some people believe that these chemtrails are trying to poison people. You're saying they're trying to build some sort of an aerial dome?
Well, it's a twofold thing because there's a lot of toxins in coal, fly, ash. And
what the hell is
what
that?
it does, it's part of this Alzheimer's craze that's going across America. And it's just like in war. When you shoot one guy in the leg, you take 3 out because they got to have 2 to carry them.
I'm not sure what
All
that
right,
has to
they're trying
do
to
with.
take us out before they have to pay Social Security.
Wow,
This is
you
a
are all
government
over the place,
conspiracy
man.
that's been going
So
on
hold on, let me see if I've got this
57.
straight. What you're saying is the men who are flying those jets that
I don't think.
I'd like
those
to ask you a
guys know what
question
they're
about this
doing.
since you seem to know so much about it. So you believe they're trying to eliminate the population so they don't have to pay Social Security. Are you saying to me that the men who are flying those jets and allegedly releasing this chemical or ash or whatever the heck it is you believe that it is over the population, aren't they also poisoning their own families?
Dude, don't you think they're keeping them as dumb as they're keeping us? These are
So
soldiers,
you think that-
lieutenants,
so
captains, they're doing what they're told.
So you think that the pilots who are delivering this deadly toxin or whatever it is, that they're just so stupid that they have no idea that they're spraying some potentially dangerous chemical?
I'm sure the government has another story for them, explaining what it is that they're spraying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that believe me, it's just like the Hillary House of Cards. There's going to be a lot of things going to fall here real quick.
Well, it's paranoid. There's no basis for what you're saying. It's just based on pure speculation. And there's no doubt that the government is an evil organization that does hurt innocent people. And it is true that in certain circumstances.
That's ever been proved based on speculations?
Huh?
I said, isn't every conspiracy that's ever been proved based on speculation?
Well, if it's proved,
you have to have a root before you have a plan.
Well, if it's proved, then you have proof. And there is no proof of this. This is just wild speculation.
Yeah, but you have to think before you look.
I understand. You have to come up with a hypothesis. I understand that. But generally, you want to have some sort of evidence that you can collect to prove your hypothesis. And in this case, it's just pure conspiracy theory.
That's what I tried to open the call with.
You don't have evidence, though. You just
claims that he has the stuff. He traced
ridiculous.
up into a chemtrail and got a bucket full of them.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't buy it.
Spraying.
Hey, there are some examples, though, of the government. I'll give you this, though, Fred. There are some examples of the government spraying actual chemicals in the air. But in certain, in those examples, you are aware of it. Like in Florida, where I'm from, they sprayed malathion. That's something that happened.
No, on the same interview, he did a quote from a guy that lived out in California.
So, are you wearing a gas mask every day?
From the 60s.
Are you walking
I'm
around?
Saying about the false seal. I'm trying to talk about the false ceiling and the changing of the atmosphere. He used to say that. He said that this cat that lived in California forever. You remember that they used to have like the northern desert effect. You get cool in the evening, and it no longer does. It just hangs. And hang.
Fred, do you walk around with a gas mask on all the time?
No, not in northern Michigan, but if I was in California...
Wait a minute, I thought you said they crisscrossed the sky in a grid pattern just the other day.
Oh, they did, but luckily the wind was blowing south of me. I think
so you're not really that worried then, right? I mean, you're not really that concerned about this. You're not changing your lifestyle.
No, I'm not, but I'm aware of my surroundings, which many of us.
So you've purchased a gas mask.
Are not.
So you've purchased a gas mask, a breathing apparatus of some sort.
No, my old man had an old World War II novelty thing. I got one of them old canister snorkel things.
Yeah. Well, Good luck to you, Fred. Thank you for the call tonight.
Hey,
Keep your
I'm
eyes
not
on the
worried about
skies,
the gas
man.
mask. That's not my issue.
Yeah, it's paranoid in my opinion. I mean, it's ridiculous. Thanks for the call. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. I mean, look, the government does do bad things, and I am no fan of the government, but to look up at the sky and to think that every contrail that stays in the sky is some sort of malicious thing that has been put there to poison you or pollute the atmosphere or whatever the moment's whim that you think of, you believe about it, because there's no evidence for what you're saying. There's a lot of evidence that you're looking at a contrail, that you're looking at the vapor that comes out, that freezes into ice in the atmosphere and can stay there based on atmospheric conditions. That's my understanding. There's actual websites where you can go and read more about exactly how the science works on that. We've actually done it on the air. Is read some of the objections, some of the science out there. I think one of the great websites is called Contrail Science. I think it was .com. It might not be .com, but it was Contrail Science, where they just eviscerate these claims, these conspiracy theories. Yeah, contrailscience.com, and then all kinds of information on how to debunk these chemtrail claims. And we've been hearing this stuff for years on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I'm really glad Fred called in, because ever since I started listening to talk radio, some of my first experiences were people calling local shows and talking about the chemtrails that they were seeing up in the air. And I thought it had been, the argument was out of currency, so I hadn't heard about it in a long time. But good to hear again.
Oh, there are people out there. I mean, I remember driving up to Lancaster, New Hampshire for some of the camping festivals up there, and when you drive on Route 91 or Interstate 91 through Vermont, and you get off on the state roads up there, there's houses with signs in the yard about chemtrails.
Wow.
There's like a movement up there of people who really believe in this stuff. And that's why I just always have to ask, all right, if you believe in it, what steps have you taken to remediate the supposed threat? I mean, because you believe that it's so dangerous, right? So surely you're walking around with some sort of breathing apparatus on every day if you want to make sure you keep yourself from not getting brain damaged or poisoned or mind controlled or whatever it is that people believe about this stuff.
Ian, speaking about news from the 90s, have you heard about the new Paramount Network's Waco series?
I don't think
There's a dramatization of it, a several-part dramatization. It looks really good.
There's more coming up here. If you want to share your thoughts on whatever you want, you can. It's Free Talk Live.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment walking down the street to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 7th, 2018. Silver is trading at $17.22 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,320 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $55, and the average price of Bitcoin is $16,487. Antiwar.com reports an emergency meeting at the UN Security Council on the subject of a week-long protest in Iran saw a series of speeches, including the U.S. reiterating its previous public statements backing demonstrators and threatening Iran, and other nations wondering why this was worth an emergency meeting. French Ambassador Francois Delattre insisted the Iran protest had nothing to do with the international peace and security, warning against attempts to exploit this crisis for personal ends, which many see as a rebuke directed at the United States. Russian Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia was even more frank, saying the meeting amounted to the U.S. abusing its position at the UN to mess with Iran, and noting the United Nations did not have an emergency meeting after the U.S. crackdowns in Ferguson. Iran insisted the matter was an internal affair, not something for the UN to weigh in on, and China agreed with their ambassador, calling it purely a domestic issue. There is no sign there was any interest beyond the U.S. for taking any action at the meeting. After the meeting adjourned, Russia agreed to closed-door talks on what they called the American Initiative, but there was no indication that anything has come of that since then.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
UPI reports Hewlett-Packard has recalled 50,000 lithium-ion batteries for notebook computers and mobile workstations, according to a news release. The batteries can overheat and pose fire and burn hazards, according to a statement released on Thursday by the United States Consumer Product and Safety Commission. The computer company received 8 reports of battery packs overheating, melting, or charring, including 3 reports of property damage totaling $4,500. One incident included a first-degree burn to the person's hand. The batteries were sold from December 2015 through December 2017 at Best Buy, Amazon, and HP.com, and other stores and authorized dealers nationwide. They were shipped in notebook computers and mobile workstations and also purchased separately. HP is urging consumers to check the website hp.com/go/battery program 2018 to see if their battery is included in the recall. The website has instructions about what to do if the battery is included in the recall, including how to enable battery safe mode. According to the news release, batteries will be replaced for free by authorized technicians.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports the author of a book that is highly critical of Donald Trump's first year as U.S. president said his revelations were likely to bring an end to Trump's time in the White House. Michael Wolff told BBC Radio that his conclusion in Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House that Trump is not fit to do the job was becoming a widespread view. Wolff said in the interview broadcast on Saturday, "I think one of the interesting effects of the book so far is a very clear emperor has no clothes effect," adding, "The story that I have told seems to present this presidency in such a way that says he can't do his job." Trump has dismissed the book as full of lies. It depicts a chaotic White House, a president who was ill-prepared to win the office in 2016. Trump took to Twitter late on Friday, posting, "Michael Wolff is a total loser who made up stories in order to sell his really boring and untruthful book. He used Sloppy Steve Bannon, who cried when he got fired and begged for his job. Now Sloppy Steve has been dumped like a dog by almost everyone. Too bad." Bannon, formerly Trump's chief strategist, is chairman of the so-called alt-right Breitbart News website. In his interview with the BBC, Wolff was asked if he believed that Bannon felt Trump was unfit to serve as president and would try to bring him down. Wolff replied, Yes. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Later in the hour, the U.S. Postal Service announces that you can deliver the mail yourself if you think it's so easy. But first up in health news, researchers from Harvard University have found a strong link between male virility and wearing Motley Crue denim jackets. For the study, researchers paired fans of the band with a control group and found that those wearing Motley Crue attire were far more likely to knock out some chick's totally jacked boyfriend and then do it with her later that same day than those who simply wore casual clothes and probably wouldn't know what it feels like to have 2 threesomes in one night.
Men who own jackets with an image of Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx sitting on top of a pair of breasts with nipples in the shape of pentagrams showed higher levels of sexual potency, endurance, and libido. These guys do it all the time, and sometimes even in public. They don't care.
Although the study primarily focused on men in Motley Crue jackets, researchers also found that men who listened to Nirvana had a high likelihood of staying virgins forever.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching in here to hour number 3 of the program. You can join us here and bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnny Ray.
We're going to continue with more of your calls, but we also need to keep talking about savings. That was what we started the show with tonight. And I started the show with the intention of, we're going to get through this. And it didn't happen, and that's okay. That's the way Free Talk Live should work, is where you call in and bring up whatever you want. We've ended up talking about the VA system, burn pits, and then ultimately into a crackpot call about, and a nice guy. The guy's called in about other things, but I'm sorry, I just don't buy the whole chemtrail thing. I think it's all just people getting paranoid about contrails in the sky, not really understanding the science behind contrails. Not that I'm a scientist or anything like that, but I've read articles on the internet too. And the internet will tell you all kinds of things that isn't true. So careful what you believe just because you hear it on the radio, including from us, doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Ian and Johnny Ray here with Ricky on the line in the Commonwealth. Go ahead, Ricky.
Thank you there, brother. Ian, I have to admit, I agree with the previous caller. And, we used to have an old saying down here in the Commonwealth about people named Fred. And if I were to say that to you, I'd get dropped. So I'm not going to do that. But he did sound like a nice person. But that being said, I'm going to do everything I can, of course, to increase his paranoia by things that are factual. Brother Ian?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Well, you said about there are things. And see, here's the thing. He was talking about global warming. Now, I find it very interesting. It was about, it was right before the holidays. President Jackass sent out a tweet. And I didn't think it was funny. He said, you know what? It's getting cold out there. We could use that good old global warming thing. And I'll tell you why I didn't find that funny. See, here's the reality of things we do have. Now, the least of which is being HAARP. Now, the HAARP project, the high-frequency station using these microwaves, has been in something we've been working on for over 50 years.
What are you saying that the HAARP project allegedly does? Because this is another one that's been trotted out over the years here on Free Talk Live by usually the paranoid conspiracy theory callers. The claim is usually that the HAARP thing, well, I won't say what they claim. What's your claim about HAARP? What is it that you're claiming that it is or doing?
Exactly what it is. And by the way, a nice little touch is we actually have another one, not just the one in Alaska. We have one in the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico.
Okay. So what is it that you're saying it's actually doing? Because this is a radio transmitter that a bunch of people freak out about, and they think that it's doing either some kind of like mind control or that it's trying to control the weather. What do you believe that its purpose is?
Well, HAARP is actually the least of it. I'll tell you a little bit about HAARP, and then I'll tell you what we have that's much worse. And the nice thing is we have patents. You can actually look it up, and that's really nice that we have a government the way we do.
No, it's not. And just because somebody has a patent on something doesn't mean that it's legitimate or that it does what it's supposed to do.
Well, Ian,
you can patent all kinds of things.
Ian, first of all, a little bit.
What are you saying that HAARP does? You have not answered the question yet.
What HAARP does is it is a high frequency transmitter. Basically, it uses microwaves. And the problem with something like HAARP is, all living things, the frequency range is very close. Now, what HAARP does, is from the ground will shoot up into the ionosphere in a similar way that shortwave radio works and bounce off of the ionosphere, the high frequency microwaves. And by doing that, you can, accomplish various other things. You can bump clouds around and do things. Now, we got
You can do what? Say again?
You can basically bump clouds around. And by doing that, you can engineer things.
Uh-huh.
You can also produce heat that way. Now, but we have much worse.
You can produce heat by shooting a radio transmission into the ionosphere. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, here we got much worse than that. See, when they talk about the global warming, one of the worst problems is we shoot up these rockets, either the rockets or the shuttle. Every time we do that, it rips a hole in the ionosphere. Now, okay, but here's the thing. You can look at this patent up. We have a satellite right now up in space that is basically it's a smaller version of HARP. See, HARP is old technology. The idea is instead of bouncing it from against the ionosphere down here, there's a satellite up there that's a weather satellite, and you can look up the patent number on that was issued by our government. And what it does is actually blasts it right through the ionosphere from the other direction. That's even more damaging. And what I find interesting
is... And what is it that it's damaging? The ionosphere?
Right, and that's our protection against these solar flares. And that's a natural occurrence. Like these people like the guy that called them that. I mean...
How is the solar flare? Is that... so that's going to do what exactly?
Well, the ionosphere is our protection from the sun, basically. And every time we send up a rocket, it rips a hole. Every time we go up to fix our satellite...
I don't know if I believe you as a scientific expert. Johnny Ray, what are your impressions of what Ricky is saying here?
I've been reading the Wikipedia article about the
On HARP?
On HARP.
I see a story here that says that it was ordered shut down in 2014. I don't know if they've actually shut it down. But there was some sort of story here from NBC News.
After discussions between the parties, ownership of the facility and its equipment was transferred to the University of Alaska Fairbanks in August 2015. HARP is a target of conspiracy theorists who claim that it is capable of weaponizing weather. Commentators and scientists say that advocates of this theory are uninformed, as claims made fall well outside the abilities of the facility, if not the scope of natural science.
Ricky, I have here a news story that says that Hugo Chavez in Venezuela years ago claimed that HARP, or a program like it, triggered an earthquake in Haiti. Do you believe that that's true?
Well, I don't know about that one. HARP's too far away to cause that.
But wait, so what you're saying is the range of HARP is limited?
Actually, it is. But see, the nice thing is we got 3 of them. We have one in Alaska. We have one in the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. And there's another one that we actually control somewhere else, but that one was offline. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I will tell you.
Do you believe that the one in Puerto Rico caused the earthquake in Haiti?
That's something to the theory. Now the funny thing is now they have no electricity. The grid's down. But yeah, it's funny. If you look at the one in Alaska and you look at the one over there in Puerto Rico, I watched one thing. One thing I'll tell you that's a damn honest occurrence. I remember it was last year that you had calls on this. We had twice. We had one of these massive storms, like a hurricane. It hit right in between the Mason-Dixon line. 2 inches almost back to back. And that was all weird. And if you look at
So let me see if I follow you on this. You're saying you believe that a radio transmitting device shooting up into the ionosphere can somehow cause an earthquake?
Actually, yeah, I do. I'll tell you why.
So you don't think it had anything to do with, I don't know what the actual scientists had to say of how the Haitian quake of 2010 was caused by a slippage of a previously unmapped fault line along the border of the Caribbean and North American tectonic plates. That had nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah, that had nothing to do with that one. But I tell you which one I think did have something to do with it. Look at these storms we had here. Look where it's been hit. It got hit in Mexico. It got hit in everywhere it's been hitting has been all of
this is even more of an unbelievable conspiracy theory or paranoid theory than the theory that God is the one punishing the United States with all the storms. I mean, they're both ridiculous. And thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. I mean, to believe that the government is so capable. I mean, this is the same government that can't even make the roads work correctly. that the government is so capable of being able to manipulate the weather. I mean, one of the things that man has had a very difficult time even predicting. You know, they try their best, but they still are wrong as far as, predicting the weather. Yeah, you know that the storm is going to go somewhere, but they don't always know where it's going to go, and they're frequently wrong about it. I just find it hard to believe it exceeds the realm of potential possibility of what the government could accomplish in my mind, that they could have some sort of facility that could control the weather. It's ridiculous.
Also, something you've said many times before, any nefarious, weird schemes that the government pulls off is only enabled by the things they do right out in the open, when they take your income, when they take 50% of the money you make.
Right.
That's something that they do. It's right out there in the open. And if you put a stop to that, then you can put a stop to HAARP.
That's a great point. The toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. Just end the state. There goes that program.
From the first letter of Captain Mark. History is full of flowery documents claiming to limit the power of the crown, but these poetic social contracts have been impotent to prevent the predation. Limited government is a lie they use to keep us submissive. The Crown cannot be trusted to abide by its founding charters, nor its treaties, nor even its own rules. The essence of the Crown is centralized violence, and I've had enough. That's why I raised my black banner. I am no revolutionary. My aim is not to reset the cycle of violence, but to break it. My aim is an evolved society, invisible to the Crown, not a new hierarchy, but decentralized networks with no central figure for the Crown to target. If you want your servile life, keep it, but we will not submit to the Crown's agenda. And when you are ready to stop being its beast of burden, ready for adventure and opportunity, join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hi, my name is Scott Fuchs, teacher and rowing coach for over 14 years. I was sluggish, overweight, on prescription drugs, and only 30-something. Fortunately, I was referred to Dr. Z, and happy to say Dr. Z's all-natural protocols over a consistent course resolved my health issues. I'm in the best shape of my life, and most importantly, on 0 medications.
I'm Dr. Zdanowski, author of Evology, trained as a primary care physician.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free and join us right here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian here.
And Johnny Ray.
Whether it's something important like savings and talking about economics, or something that's complete paranoid conspiracy theory, you can call in about anything that you want here on Free Talk Live. And tonight's show is proof of that. We're going to continue here with your calls and thoughts, but also want to make sure you know about Dash. It's digital cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, it can be private and easy. Fees are low, transactions are quick, and can be confirmed instantly. You can pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies on the dollar. And Dash is decentralized and run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the Dash network. I was talking with a local business owner here in Keene the other day. He actually runs one of the newspapers in town, and was telling him a little bit about how Dash is now being accepted around town here by the very same merchants who had accepted Bitcoin previously. They still do accept Bitcoin, but no customers want to pay with Bitcoin, so we had to give them another option. And luckily, the folks over at AnyPay created a great merchant services app, and they integrated Dash first, but Dash and Bitcoin. So that was what AnyPay launched with. And so we pitched that around town and got a lot of the business owners that were taking Bitcoin to sign up to accept Dash as well. And he was asking the question of, well, why are they taking Dash? And I of course, explained a little bit about what was going on with Bitcoin, and it's getting more difficult to spend it at retail because of the fees. And so we needed something else. Dash was in the top 10. It actually just dropped out of the top 10 cryptocurrencies. There's been an amazing shuffling going on with some of the cryptos recently. So it's right now it's at number 11, and he'd asked me, well, why is it being used if it's just number 11? And I said, well, the reason for that is because it's really the only one that's marketing itself as digital cash. It's really the only one, at least in the top 20 or whatever, that is focused on retail and that experience of a person paying for something at a point of sale. And that's why it's being used. That's why AnyPay adopted it as its, one of its primary methods of payment. So if you want to join Dash and help them create a better financial system for everyone, take back control over your financial future today, go to dash.org to learn more about it. Once again, that's dash.org. Ian and Johnny Ray in the studio. We go to Pete. He's in Michigan. Pete, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
You're on the air.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was calling in. Well, it's basically not a conspiracy theory. I'm thinking way back before the Beijing Olympics in China. The Chinese representatives were asked if it was safe for the Olympians to basically be in that place. And, you guys are talking about gas masks, and I'm thinking about the Chinese running around with these things on their faces because of all the chicken flus and whatnot. And
you can't listen to yourself on the radio in the background. It's going to confuse the hell out of everybody, including you. Just so you know, you want to turn that down or go into a different room.
What I'm getting at is the Chinese representative before the Beijing Olympics admitted.
Hello.
He admitted that he was questioned. He says, "Well, what about the weather during all these Olympian events?" He says, "Don't worry about that. We control the weather." And it was squashed real quick, just like all conspiracy theories are.
I know that they've experimented with things like cloud seeding or whatever, but that's not the same thing. as controlling the weather. It's like you got a little joystick up there and you're moving the hurricane around or something like that. I mean, there's definitely some cloud seeding experiments that have gone on in places where they're trying to, like make it rain or whatever. But that's a little different than controlling the weather, right? Is that what you're referring to, Pete? Or you're just referring to some sort of an ominous statement? I can't keep you on, Pete, because you're not listening on the radio, so I'm going to let you go. You can't listen. One of the rules of talk radio when you're a caller is you got to turn the radio down. And the reason for that is because as much as you might want to hear yourself, it's confusing because we have the delay system in place that means that you're hearing later. You're hearing a few seconds, several seconds after when you've spoken. And so if you're listening to yourself several seconds later while trying to speak, it's a very discombobulating and disorienting thing. So anyway, there you go. There's a little tip for you, those of you who are going to call in. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Do you buy it, Johnny Ray, that the Chinese government controls the weather, or is that just propaganda?
No, I don't buy it. I doubt that I doubt that statement was even made by some Chinese official.
Yeah, it sounds pretty ridiculous. Let's go to Eric in Tennessee. You're on Free Talk Live. We've had a bunch of whoppers tonight on Free Talk Live, a bunch of tall tales. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I just had to call in and weigh in on a little bit of this weather manipulation and HARP and all the conspiracy theories that surround all that.
Okay, weigh in.
Yeah, well, they did include weather manipulation in the treaty that they talked about in 1984. So we're not going to manipulate the weather. That was part of a negotiation in the treaty with Russia.
Well, that's an easy thing to admit to or to agree to because they probably couldn't manipulate the weather in the first place.
Well, that's true. But we have to look at the idea that maybe they can manipulate the weather. Are they manipulating the weather?
Well,
the
I mean,
University
certainly
of Michigan.
Anything's possible, right? So I'm not going to rule out that someday somebody might figure out some kind of way to manipulate the weather in any kind of meaningful fashion, but I don't,
And also it's likely that people are conducting experiments and trying to figure out how to manipulate the weather.
Surely.
But it doesn't mean they're succeeding.
Correct.
Absolutely. I think they are trying to manipulate the weather. Whether they're being successful or not may be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, they can also try to stop every other volcano from ever erupting and every earthquake from ever happening. But, they're just men. And there's some things that are beyond, at least at this time, beyond our reach.
Yeah, volcano and the earthquake probably has more to do with the sun's influence on the planet than, what they're doing with HARP.
I don't. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I'm not sure exactly what the sun has to do with a volcano erupting.
Well, we do have evidence that alpha waves, which are produced through coronal holes, have an influence on earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
Huh. Never heard that one
and
before. But that doesn't mean it's not true.
Alpha
waves?
Alpha waves.
All right. The sun is a big thing, and it does have an influence. Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Eric. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. This is the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. And yes, you can bring up what you want on the radio. More coming up.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Frustrated trying to get business capital? Want to take the slow process and rejection out of the equation? GCNloans.com removes the slow, irritating approval process. Instead, get quick, simple funding. Powered by David Allen Capital, 80% of our pre-qualified clients are approved in days. Pre-qualify at GCNloans.com and get your money this week. It's that easy. GCNloans.com. That's GCNloans.com.
Free Talk Live.
Having spent 8 years, 6 months, and 21 days of my life in the Florida State prison system, I'm going to say that the incidences of rape are much, much exaggerated in the media. I'm sure it happened.
It makes for interesting television shows.
Yeah. I mean, all the things that I've seen on Oz, I saw in prison, but I was there for 9 years. So, if I saw one incidence of violence where somebody got their ear bit off, okay, it didn't happen every episode.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it is a public perception, though, and people, it's almost a joke, or it's like a wink and a nod.
Yeah, sure.
Bubba's going to get you when you go to prison.
That's exactly the idea. As though sodomy somehow fixes people's broken minds. Right. That's not where they're putting that thing. So I mean, it's not gonna jostle anything around and fix it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free if you want to join us here on the radio. Live Sunday edition of the program. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnny Ray.
We've got Skype. You can Skype into the show at Skype username LRN.FM, so feel free to reach out to us there or call in toll free 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Zencash.com. Cryptocurrencies are hot right now. There's over 1,000 of them over at coinmarketcap.com. But most of them aren't really worth talking about because they're just Me Too currencies. They copied some code from one of the other cryptocurrencies because almost all of them are open source, and they released their version of what they think Bitcoin should have been, and then there it is. And some people can do something with it. Other people can ignore it. Most people ignore most of the cryptos out there. So what makes a cryptocurrency outstanding? What is it that makes it worth looking at, worth considering? Well, in my case, I think that looking at the ideology of the programmers is useful, because there's so many choices out there. I suppose you could invest in all of them if you wanted to, and maybe some of them would win and most of them will lose. But if your time is limited and you only want to pick some of them, why not the one that's actually formed by voluntarists, by liberty-loving, economics-understanding voluntarists? Well, Zencash is that cryptocurrency where they adopted some of the best technology. It started back in 2017, so it's pretty new, and it is, it looks that way. Like the sites need some updating. The software is brand new, a little rough around the edges, but they did adopt zero-knowledge anonymity from Zcash. So they took that excellent anonymity software and they added to it, or are adding to it, decentralized autonomous organization, which allows for the marketplace to sort of form around this governance structure in Zencash. And they're going to create a platform, and they already have, for money and messages, and eventually they're going to be adding media to this that can be sent to anyone anywhere in the world securely and encrypted. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. You can find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. As we go to your calls and thoughts, David is on the line in New Mexico on Skype. Go ahead, David.
Hey, at the beginning of your program with your technical difficulties, I was getting to listen to the Panthers-Saints football game on your channel on TuneIn Radio.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I hate to blow his cover because he's rather entertaining, but Fred Pete, the first time that he called weeks and weeks ago, he managed to get on your program 3 times in one night.
Fred Pete? He has 2 first names?
Sorry to blow your cover, Fred Pete, but yeah, he's been fooling you. So he's having a good laugh right now, I'm sure.
I don't get it. What's he fooling us about?
Maybe he called us a couple of times tonight under different names.
Yeah, and he did it. He got in 3 times, several months back, weeks back, whatever. He got in 3 times on a Saturday night. So yeah, congratulations, Fred. I'm laughing with you. He's having a good laugh right now, I'm sure.
I see.
Anyway, I hate to blow his cover, but I thought that I'd share that with you.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up. Only 1 call per night, but generally we have to go by the honor system because if we don't notice, then that's that.
Right. Yeah. And not what I called on, but to help you out. Actually, Fred sounds just like a cousin of mine that was in the Marines back in the 60s, late 50s, early 60s. And was a victim of that Project MK Ultra. So we got MK Ultra with CIA, LSD. You got the spraying of St. Louis. You've got cloud seeding with silver iodide. You have the Tuskegee experiment, the untreated syphilis thing. And then if you just Google while you're sitting there, Wikipedia has unethical human experimentation in the United States. Mm-hmm. Can list off dozens and dozens and dozens of things like the people are talking about with the chemtrail thing. I don't necessarily believe in the chemtrail thing, but as an airline transport pilot, I can tell you wouldn't need the pilot's cooperation to be spraying stuff. And the theory of the HARP thing is if they're putting, for instance, if they're putting metallic elements aerosolized into the atmosphere, especially if they drift upward into the stratosphere above the weather system, so they're never rained out. And if you energize those particles, whether from space or from Earth, you could do different things with those energized particles. But like I said, that's not what I'm calling about.
Well, that's not the claim of the HARP advocates. They believe that it's just, radio waves controlling people's minds or the weather, usually one or the other.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you could do things with the weather, but they get things confused. But there is some elements of truth. If you put those molecules up into the stratosphere and then energize them, you could theoretically do different things potentially. But anyway, the Rich Paul, the parting comment that when I was talking to you guys the last time about we were talking about the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And Rich had said, or gets greased. And yeah. And so I wanted to comment on that because he's correct. And thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the heads up, Rich. But I've been prepared for that one going back like 8 years or so for retaliation coming from people in power with me blowing the whistle on them.
I mean, you have to expect it. You know that,
exactly.
That if you're the first person to reveal something dastardly, if they can come at you, they're gonna. And that's why they went after Chelsea Manning. That's why they would go after Edward Snowden.
Yeah, there's it's nonstop. You could list you could cite case after case after case after case of that kind of retaliation based on exposing people, and so I point attention to that in honor of my my daughter Paisley, who's the 11th birthday in a row since I last seen her, is tomorrow. So in her honor, the whistleblowing in New Mexico, once again the FBI claims this to be the most corrupt state in the nation. You're talking earlier about medicine, about socialized medicine. I get my medicine through socialized medicine. You were talking about the VA. I get mine through Medicaid, and I've noticed exactly the same kind of treatment when I go into I get my health care here through Medicaid at the Presbyterian system here in New Mexico, and when I go in there, well, first of all, you go in there and the people that they hire, they now have power. They're in their private lives, they don't have power, but when you put them into an institution where people walk in the door and then they control that kind of thing, all of a sudden an ordinary person has extraordinary power. And so you go in there and for instance, what typically happens is when you disrespect them by not submitting to them, talking over you, talking you down, like the receptionist, whatever, then what naturally happens is as the offended party, your voice escalates a little bit like this when you're being disrespected, and then when you instead of shutting up when they talk over you, you continue to talk. Then guess what? The next thing that happens when you do that is
you go to the back of the line.
They call all of a sudden the security guard shows up. Oh. This is a repeating pattern in New Mexico, whether you're at the welfare office or the medical treatment.
It's a pattern with human beings. When they are given power, they tend to wield it in capricious ways. Thank you, David, for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Science shows that power absolutely does corrupt people. There's no doubt about it. And there's plenty of evidence to show it, even if it's just somebody with like he was talking about, a receptionist job at some socialized medicine center. She's in charge, and she's going to let you know. I mean, I've had government bureaucrats, like the government janitor over in, no offense, Johnny Ray, because you're a market janitor. You work in a competitive marketplace where you want to service people and give good customer service. When you work for the government, you don't have to.
No offense taken.
Yeah.
People have to be humbled by outside forces. That's why power corrupts, because you're not subject to the humbling process that a free person can give to you. When you're in a business, you have to be humble to your customers and your potential customers, because they have the power to choose.
They could end your business by not going there anymore.
They can terminate the business that they have with you, and you're reliant on those people, and you have to cater to them. And when you're behind the desk at the Department of Motor Vehicles, you're not subject to that at all, and it will come out. It will show in the way that you deal with the people coming to you.
Absolutely true. The toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And that's why competition is a good thing. It keeps people in check. There's more coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. We walk around the block and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy. DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dynavite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies, grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dynavite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic.
Inviting you and your pets to Dynavite.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. 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 I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Live Sunday edition. Moments remain. Enough time for you if you want to get on the line right now with us. The us is me, Ian.
And me, Johnny Ray.
We have Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. And we've got toll-free lines as well. Toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. But I do want to invite you to become an amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. You get signed up there. And at that point, you'll easily be able to interact with other Free Talk Live amplifiers. We've got the AMP-only Facebook group, which I am no longer a part of because I quit Facebook. But we will have somebody who's still there adding you into that group because normally that was something that I did. But I've given up on Facebook, so apologies for not being able to be in that group anymore. But that's one of the things I had to give up in order to be able to quit finally from Facebook. But you can still enjoy it if you're a Facebook user. Otherwise, there's still some other perks. Maybe you're not into Facebook. The AMP program also gives you access to the AMP-only call-in lines. It gives you a special badge on the regular Free Talk Live forum that anyone can join. But you're an amplifier, so you get the AMP badge, which identifies you as a Free Talk Live amplifier. There's some other perks there as well. Go get all the details. Get signed up with any major credit card or with PayPal. Or with Bitcoin Core over at amp.freetalklive.com, amp.freetalklive.com. Vernon is in New Orleans on Free Talk Live. Hello, Vernon.
All the cold weather, I just had a curious
internal show question. If it snows a whole lot in New Hampshire, is there ever a point where you're only having to do the show by yourself? I've noticed that you all always have at least 2 co-hosts on. I was just curious if one, if that ever has happened, and 2, why you all always have more than one co-host on. Thank you.
Sure. So to answer the question, tonight we have 2 hosts in the studio. He hung up. 2 hosts in the studio. Sometimes we have 3. Usually on weekdays we have 3. Frequently on Sunday nights we have 3 in the studio. And yeah, it does snow here, and sometimes that does keep people away from the studio. It's pretty rare that I've been on the air without anybody else in the studio. There have been a couple times where for like a segment or 2, or a segment or in another part of a segment, I'll be here alone. And, you know, I could host a show in that way if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that show. When I started doing Free Talk Live, I wanted to do the show I wanted to listen to. Like, if I wouldn't listen to the show, then I wouldn't want to do the show, if that makes sense. And I get to live with me all the time, so I'm not really interested that much in hearing myself for an entire, 3-hour-long stretch with whatever callers happen to call in. I like the idea of having different voices and different opinions on the air. I like that multiple hosts sitting in a room together can keep each other honest, keep each other, challenge an assertion, challenge a belief, call somebody out on some BS. I think that having, even if the hosts don't all disagree on the issues all the time, that's okay. Certainly if there is disagreement, that makes things more interesting. So like the Thursday night shows, Heather has been going up against Chris and Daryl on some pretty intense discussions because she doesn't agree generally with some of the libertarian viewpoints. So I think that can be very interesting as well. But even just having, even if the 3 hosts generally agree, that we're libertarians and we want more freedom, they still approach it from different perspectives. They can add in different comments that another host might not have thought of, like you did earlier tonight, Johnny Ray, bringing up an additional point that I had not mentioned during a call. So the hosts can sort of back each other up and also break each other down and make sure that everybody is being honest. I think that when you deal with talk show hosts, you deal with some very egomaniacal people who they're so into themselves, they name the show after themselves. The
Ian and Mark show.
No, never has been that. In fact, it was actually Manwich when we first started the show a long time ago. That was what his on-air name was. But no, I did not consider doing something like that for really even a moment. I always liked the idea of having a show where it didn't rely on me to exist. Because it doesn't make sense. If Rush Limbaugh dies, they're not going to just have fill-in hosts for Rush Limbaugh for the rest of time. That show's over. It's done for. But, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and Free Talk Live could still continue on. It doesn't have to have me at its helm. It has, historically, because I'm the one who created the show back in 2002. But if I am to go away, then somebody else can keep doing this program. It is basically kind of like a libertarian talk show with a reality show component to it. So yeah, we take phone calls from anybody. That's something that's also a little bit different. Most shows have high levels of call screening, and they'll screen out almost anybody. Most of the callers to the show tonight probably would have been screened out with the chemtrail topics from your typical talk radio show. But having different opinions on the air, I think, is really important. I think that it helps if there was a host who's by himself, he tends to get into this world of I'm the host and I'm always right. And, you callers, you're challenging and you're wrong. And that's sort of the world that exists in a lot of these talk radio formats out there. The host is always right. And the callers, they don't know what they're talking about. And the host cannot be convinced. The host cannot be persuaded. The host digs into their position and they fire out their verbal attacks from that position. And if you've got other hosts in the studio who aren't cowed by the main host, who aren't just like lapdogs for the main host, I think that's a good show where you've got a challenging sort of in-house setup.
I'm usually a lapdog, but sometimes I'll have a good show where I challenge more often, and that's great. But you and Mark is the Free Talk Live template that I grew to
grew up
love.
with.
Yeah, and that's great. I don't know. I guess the show probably could survive if you were hit by a bus.
Yeah.
But when I listen to Free Talk Live, I want that Ian and Mark, really.
Oh, well, that's awfully nice. But that's just because you heard us originally, right? If you'd heard the show and it was me and Daryl or something like that instead, and that was the first show you ever heard and the only setup that you heard, and that changed, you or others would probably respond like, "Oh no, the feel of the show has changed," and it would have, because somebody else is a different experience, a different, relationship between the two hosts, different plays off of one another and senses of humor and being able to absorb that and bounce off of that.
I like that you and I get to talk about Phil Hendry sometimes.
Yeah,
By the way, I have been.
I can't talk about Phil Hendry with
with
anybody else but you.
Yeah, that
Mark hates him.
I criticize Phil Hendry for his protection of his
intellectual property.
And I like to say that he would have been a lot more successful if he had been more open with it.
I agree.
But he's on Rick and Morty, and
is that right? He's one of the voices on there, right?
Yep, and he's been a success.
No doubt. He's doing fine. He's a talk show host, for the listeners that don't know, that made a career by talking to himself. So unlike our show where we take phone calls from anybody about anything, he takes phone calls from himself, playing characters. And then back when he was doing radio, he doesn't anymore. He does a podcast now. But when he was doing radio, he would take callers from people who didn't realize that he was talking to himself.
Yeah, he sort of did. It was almost like a prank show, which I think is what turned off Mark in the beginning. But the people calling in are signing up for it. They're calling in because they want to be heard on the radio.
That's right.
And Phil takes advantage of that, and he makes them look foolish.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was a great show. It's not the same now that he doesn't have the callers, where it's all Phil talking to Phil as the different characters. But it is still fun to hear him do the characters and, hear whatever crazy nonsense is coming out of their mouths at that time.
Yeah, Phil is a genius.
So anyway, I hope that answered your question, Vernon. It was a little bit loquacious, a little lengthy, but I like having a variety. And that's why we don't just have the same two hosts all week either. We change out the hosts. People like the opportunity as well to come in and share their thoughts on the air. It's fun to come in and do radio. It's fun to have your opinions expressed and have people care. That's kind of nice. And also have them challenged as well. Have the phones open. So anybody that wants to challenge one of us on something that we say, it's open phones here, and we certainly do encourage that kind of thing. Well, we started the show with the email from Stefan Kinsella and got through about a sentence or two of that email. So I'm going to hold on to it because it was specifically in reference to the saving conversation that you and I had, Johnny Ray, and so it wouldn't be appropriate for any other night, so we'll hold on to that for another Sunday night edition.
I'm really looking forward to that.
And just give a brief mention, your game of the week this week.
Well, I stopped playing Hearthstone as a New Year's resolution, and now I'm just playing another game that isn't quite as good, although it's still fine. It's called Dungeon of the Endless. It's been out for several years.
You like a tower defense.
It's like a tower defense. It's kind of hard. It's more than that, though.
Maybe we can talk more about it next week, because we're out of time. See you tomorrow night online in the meantime. freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day